how shoddy fertility drugs are creating a new breed of gang and wreaking havoc with police lineups. Delinquent quintuplets next on the Six Ad Cast.
As I live and breathe, it is a Six Ad Cast for Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. Sarah, what are you looking at me all weird for? I'll get back to you in a second. On my left is my good friend Manuel.
Hey, what's up?
And on my right, the one giving me a weird look, her name is Sarah.
Hey.
And my name is Nick. So what was that look for?
Because I was imagining in my head that I was repeating everything you were saying simultaneously.
Really? Like you were just like trying to quote me?
As I live and breathe.
Oh, okay.
This is Six Ad Cast on April 23rd to 2020.
Is that how I sound to you?
No.
I just sound like
I think she's mocking you.
I think she's mocking me. Yeah. Is that what you're doing? You're mocking me?
No.
Let's see you sit behind this laptop and do an intro to a show.
I was supposed to like 2 months ago.
Did you want to do it again?
No.
Let's run it.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to how
it's like 3 words.
either one of y'all would doing an intro to the show and being like, this is Manuel's episode or this is Sarah, and y'all just guide the whole episode.
No, the pressure is too real.
So that way I could just sit in the corner with a glass of wine and just watch the train wreck happen.
It'd be the same thing.
No, man, I've done this for over 130 plus times.
It would be the same thing. I would tell you to bring what you're going to bring and Sarah what she's going to bring.
No,
we just talk.
You would do the legwork.
What legwork?
Like he actually types up a whole script.
I do, yeah. I have a script.
Yeah, so I would tell you to bring that. Bring your script.
But no, what? No, I want you to do the work. Well, you know what I mean.
Okay.
He reads a lot more than we do.
I read at a 4th grade level, and I flex it every single week, baby. Manuel, how have you been in the week that we haven't seen you?
Did I tell you I got laid off 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm looking. Not a lot of people are hiring.
You could always go back to what you were doing before you got this job. Magician. Street magician.
I do like Sarah's, bangs like that to the side. It makes you look different.
Oh, thanks.
Emo Sarah? I like it too.
That's not emo. Is
It has to be longer and it has to actually cover my eye.
Covering your eye.
If it covers her eye, then yeah.
Wait,
then
here.
it sounds like, yeah.
If I came home one day and you were just emo Sarah,
Like, what happened?
I'd be like, oh my God, what did Kitty do?
Why are you sad?
Kitty pushed you over the deep end while I was at work.
Last
I'll be going
week,
back
though.
to my high school days.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, in your high school days, your hair never covered your eye, right?
No, but we were our own version of emo.
Was I?
No.
Oh, I didn't think so. I was like,
I'm not talking about you.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about me and my girlfriends.
Oh, you said we, and so I assumed I was like, really? When we were all in high school, we were all emo? I don't remember
No.
that.
Y'all wish y'all could be.
Who was the closest to emo?
That one?
No, other than Sarah.
Jimmy?
I don't know. He was more of like
No.
a punker.
Just Doug, right?
Yeah, Doug for sure. I don't think Jimmy was like a hipster before hipsters were hipsters.
That's true.
Of course, hipsters have been around since like the 70s and the 80s. But
And
you know what I mean.
Definitely not Nolan.
Yeah.
None of y'all.
Yeah, none of us.
Doug, for sure.
Yeah.
But he was more metal.
He had the Jinko jeans, which then he gave to me when he
Or
stopped
Trip
wearing
NYC,
them.
which I wore all the time.
That's like an offshoot Jinko brand?
They make the uber big parachute pants.
Oh, those.
They sold those at Hot Topic.
Oh, did you ever? Okay.
How much were those? Were those like 60?
Expensive.
Yeah, 60, right, or something?
Yeah, my dad loved me. I would tell him, I want this pair. And it'll be $75.
God damn.
And
Sarah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy because my legs, my thunder thighs, and my butt have like a specific shape to them. And it's so hard for me to find jeans that fit me. And I need a specific type. I need a loose cut, straight cut jean to fit me. And it's one of the not so common cuts of jeans, which makes them expensive. So like if I go on Amazon or if I find one out in the wild, they're like $60.
We got very lucky at Target.
Yeah.
They were maybe 30.
Yeah. Which is still like, I feel like kind of expensive for a pair of generic jeans. They don't taper at the ankle or they're not tight. They're not like dressy jeans.
But you at least have the measures in store.
Yeah, but it's really hard to find that. I need a 30-30 loose cut jean. And that is one of the most uncommon cuts.
30-30?
Yeah, I'm a 30-30.
30-30. I feel like I've seen 30-30.
Sometimes 32-30 if you can't find the
32-30.
right.
Yeah. And of course, if the leg is too long, then I could just go get it cut. But yeah, if I could find the 30-30 loose cut.
You can get the 32 tight jean, but make sure it's,
You have
straight.
no idea how, when I look at jeans, I'm like, this should fit. And then I go to slide it up and I'm like, it's not going around my thighs because it's not loose straight. It's relaxed straight. Like there's a difference. And
There's a difference.
But I didn't think there was.
Relax is what? Like when it's on the thigh part?
I'm not sure. But then there's a different cut that is also worded slightly different than what I need. So like it'll fit perfect in the thighs and the hips, but it'll taper at the ankle and it gets tight. And I'm like, nope, I'm not. Nope.
This isn't me.
No, it's not me. And I feel weird because it's like tight.
Those would look good if you're trying to show off your shoes. If you had shoes to go with.
But that's not the kind of guy I am.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I don't want to. This isn't. No,
You don't want to show off your Fila team tennis shoes?
I don't know. I'm too old for that shit. And I was too old for it then. I didn't care. I just want my normal pair of jeans.
Leave me alone.
Oh, but I think you were trying to get to, you found a pair of Jinko shorts.
Oh, no, those were Doug's, I
Doug's?
think.
Oh.
Or, I don't know. I owned a pair of Jinko shorts and went out back in the day when I was, chubby Nick, thick but quick. I had that pair of shorts and they were the best fitting pair of shorts that I think I've ever had.
Never dropped them.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, they're supposed to be big, but I'm also fat. And what do you know? It's like Homer Simpson when he went
magic.
when he went to clown college. Costume was like, those pants are supposed to be baggy. This is the best pair of pants I've ever worn in my life. It was like that. So, yeah. Did you ever wear Jinkos?
I think one pair. Yeah.
Shut up.
They're expensive. Like, was
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Mexican parents are no. No.
They're like, we could cut that into pieces and make 3 pairs of shorts from 1 pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not where we were shopping. So then when you were wrestling, the shorts that you would wear when you were wrestling, those weren't it. Those aren't the ones.
The black ones were.
The black ones.
Those were the Jinko ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I wore those and like one other pair of shorts, and they were great, but they were also like really big.
So last week we talked about a phone call with Alfonso. Did you get to the bottom of that?
Nope, I didn't. And
He didn't call you back.
No, he never did. And
Did
I
you
shot
call
him
him again?
I shot him a text message detailing what had happened to me. And I thought surely he's going to at least respond in a text message. Nope. Never even got a phone call about that.
So he could be dead and you don't even know.
This is true.
No, he's
could
been
be
on
dead.
Facebook.
Okay, so he's not dead. But I don't get on Facebook, so I don't know.
But you do, so you know.
I mean, he was on Messenger conveniently when I looked, so I was like, oh, he's alive.
Oh, okay. Unless that's what they want you to think.
That's what I was about to say.
I mean, okay.
They had his phone and they were calling you for ransom.
Yeah.
And then you didn't pick up.
I was like watching a movie with Sarah, call you back.
So he calls you. You call him right back. He doesn't answer.
Yeah.
You wait. You call him back later or just
No.
a text?
Hours later, he calls me. But by then, we're watching Contagion.
Oh, so he did call you back.
He did call. And he called me back-to-back times, but I was like, no, silent. The second time, it was silent. And then I was like watching a movie, implying I'll get back with you later. And then after the movie, I detailed a message of what the phone call was from a dead line. And then nothing. Haven't heard from him since.
Okay, but
This is how it goes.
It made it sound like he never called you back. That's what I was like, he could be dead. But no, he's not. He was just busy fucking.
I mean, he could be dead now because he still hasn't answered his text messages.
yeah, but
This is true.
But
I mean,
that
come
was,
on. You would have at least tried to call me back or at least shot me a, oh, shit, text message, right? If I had told you, hey, I got a phone call from a phone number that has been disconnected for a decade.
But used to belong to us.
Yeah.
And it was calling me on my cell phone.
Yeah. And then when I answered, they didn't answer. And then when I called back, no one picked up. You know.
Did they call you?
Yeah, I think I did ask. I was like, hey, did they call you or did you? Nothing. Whatever.
But I told him that
So
that couldn't have
interesting.
happened because there's no way that a landline can call 2 people at the same time.
Not at the same time, but maybe after they called Nick and said nothing, or did say and you didn't hear him, but then they called him.
Or they
Or
called,
they called
him
him
first,
first and
then called me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
They had to have called, or maybe they were on call waiting when you called back. Like they were talking to Alfonso because you called. I told you, said call him back, and you did, and it just kept ringing, but it didn't go to voicemail
Yeah.
because they were on call waiting. They were talking to. Who knows what call waiting is?
Oh, yeah. Do people even know what that is anymore?
No, and it seems like it's easier than ever to do a 3-way phone call, and nobody seems to know what that is.
I had to do a 3-way phone call a couple months back. I had never done it on the cell phone, so I didn't know how to do it. So the person that I was trying to connect someone like at a cable company or whatever to you for
we've done that a couple of times now.
yeah, but
And
I
you
needed
don't know how to do it
I needed
on a
them
cell
to
phone.
walk me to get her on the line. And so
I don't know how to do it either on the cell phone.
it's one of those things. She was busy. I needed to ask questions about a service, but they won't tell me because it's her name on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, what do we do so you can talk to me? Because she's busy. She's at work. I have free time. My job's more lenient. And so they were like, we need her to tell us that it's okay to talk to you. And I was like, if I
Which
could...
recently when we did it, it was for our auto insurance policy. He's on it. So just kind of like his name and birthday and car are all matching. You can't talk to him. You still need me to authorize the phone call. It's stupid.
I know. It's so dumb. If I could just slap them over the phone, I would. But so then I call them and I was like, okay, I was like, I'm not hanging up with you and calling her to tell her to call you. I say, I'm going to do this right now. And then I looked at my phone. I was like, I don't know how to do a 3-way call. And they're like, how do you, I think he said either how do you not know or do you not know? And I said, I haven't done that since high school. So no, I don't know how to do it on a cell phone because I knew how to do it on
landline. You don't ever get
landline.
curious? Like you pick up the phone, you make a phone call, and you see these options on your screen. You don't ever get curious. One of them says add call.
Nope.
And then, and then that's it. That's it. You hit add call and it says who. And
That's what that means?
and you select your contact or dial.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's what he told me. I put him on speaker. He walked me
Who'd
through
have
it.
thunk?
Yeah. No, that's how that is. But now I know, I think, if I remember right.
I feel like I said it to you just now and you were learning.
Yeah, that's, that's
I
how
watched
life
Mean
goes.
Girls over the weekend, so I know. Like, I remembered that they were doing 3-ways because Regina George does the 3-way with her, and then... Yeah,
On a cell phone?
yeah no, on a landline.
On a landline. See,
Which that's easy.
I don't even remember how to do it on landline because it's been since like high school.
You have the phone button, then you have the off button.
Okay.
When you're on the phone, you hit the phone button until you get a dial tone. You dial the number. Once you hear the first ring, you hit the flash.
Yeah.
You hit the flash button again, and then you're connected.
Ah, there you go. Okay. See, I was really good at that.
I remember that.
Okay, well, good because I remember doing it, but you'd be like, how do you do it from a
How do we do it on
house
a
phone?
rotary phone?
No, you can't.
I don't think
On
you
the
can.
rotary phone. I've tried.
I'm just kidding.
I've tried. Wow.
I have.
Really?
I used to mess with phones all the time. Prank call people. You remember that?
Did you ever crank call me?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I think it was when I was calling blocked.
And like, I'm assuming we answered the phone.
Yeah, I think one time I started ordering pizza, and it was you, so it was great because obviously a lot of people already called you for instead of 44 or 2222, it was 4444.
That's right. Domino's that was Domino's, right? 585
It still
2222.
is 2222. Yeah,
Wow.
and so yours was 444.
Wow.
That did that did happen a lot. We'd be like, nope, we're not Domino's. That's 2222, and we'd hang up.
Dang.
But I didn't let him. I just kept ordering, and then eventually he did hang up. He was like, "Okay, I'm done." I don't know why you want to.
I don't have to explain myself to you. So, yeah.
Yeah, but then I'd call other people blocked. It was fun. And then I'd call them blocked, and then the other one not blocked, but connect them together, and I wouldn't say anything. And but you called me, and like, no, you called me, and like, no, I just picked up. And like, no, I picked up. But
Wow.
they knew each other, so they were like, wait, what the fuck? I had fun, bro, with phones,
Oh,
even
wow.
when they were landlines.
Oh my god, you just and it's not like you didn't have siblings to play with. You did. You just chose to not play with them and go fuck with other people.
I didn't want to play with them.
Okay.
This was funner.
This was more fun. I don't think funner's a word.
You're right.
We are 30 years old, man.
This
Oh,
was more fun.
there you go. Sarah, what have you been watching in the time that we've been gone? Did you watch any of the movies that you listed this past Sunday?
No.
No. Wow. We have all this time in quarantine.
I'm watching 6 Feet Under.
Yeah, you went
again.
back. You went back to. I mean, you know
It's
what
on Hulu now.
Yeah, it is on Hulu.
When Lost goes back to,
Lost is on Hulu.
I don't have Hulu though.
Oh,
But if it goes back to Netflix or Amazon Prime or something, I'm gonna watch
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Didn't I send it to y'all that Friends is going back to a streaming service?
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Isn't it on Netflix still?
I thought it was on Netflix. I thought they
no,
paid
that
money.
was taken off.
Before you came over, me and Sarah watched the pilot episode, part 1 to Lost,
Oh, really? What are
Yeah,
the odds that
'cause it's
I was gonna bring that up?
because it's on Hulu. And because I looked online, I was like, how do I watch Lost for free? It's on Hulu, and so I think I might go down that rabbit hole again.
Friends is not on Netflix. Sorry.
Damn.
Oh, so it's back on Netflix.
No, I just checked.
So you said now or not?
I just checked. It's not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was trying to understand.
So I wonder where it's going to go.
See, I
Watch it
told
be
you.
like HBO
If
Max.
it's coming back, it will. But right now, it is not.
Well, Sarah, what did you think of Lost? No, she was watching it and she was being sarcastic again.
I mean, what do you expect?
Give me more.
I don't know, a little bit more
Give me
attention
more.
than you were playing with your game.
Which worked out better?
No, okay. So it's okay. So if I go marching forward through Lost,
Go for it.
okay, because I don't want to. Okay.
Get past season 3. That's your new goal.
Oh yeah, ever since I did tell her, ever since the show aired, when it was on Netflix, I had tried maybe on 2 separate occasions to rewatch the whole thing, and I could never get past season 3. If I was in season 3, I was like halfway through, and then something else would come up, occupy my time, and I'd forget about Lost. And so I was like, this time I will do it, because seasons 4, 5, and 6 I have not seen since they aired, because I can't get back to that point. And so when I watched the pilot here, it seems good. And she's over here like asking some questions about it. And I don't know what you had said about like my sarcasm for the show. And I had said something like, maybe it won't hurt as much this time as it did back in 2007 when it ended or whenever. And so then there was like a monster on the island. And Sarah was like, what's that? And I was like, it's the monster.
It's a dinosaur.
She thinks it's a dinosaur. And I said, if it was a dinosaur, that'd be a better explanation than what they gave us. It's not a dinosaur.
Then what is it?
Should I say? I mean, yeah, right?
I've never seen Lost.
Okay.
We've
neither
had
have
this
I.
conversation, and I just told you that
So you have no idea what, even since
I know that there's a plane, right?
yeah,
Crash.
that's the
That's
premise
it.
of the show.
That's it, and that's all I need to know. Like I was like, okay, I'm in for that. I'll watch that, but I have never seen it.
Damn it! So I can't tell you. Okay, I'll tell you when he's not around.
Yeah, you were looking at me like, should I was like, I don't know.
I don't want to tell. I don't want to say what it is.
Then no, I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Damn it, I have to wait.
You could just watch it with me.
No.
Oh,
She's
she
gonna-
wants the
she's
answers,
gonna
but she doesn't
Google
want to.
it.
Do you just want me to tell you what it? Well, I'm not going to tell you because he's here. Close
She's
your
gonna
ears,
Google
man.
it.
Cover
She's
your
gonna
ears,
Google
Manuel. And he's like, okay, I'll cover my ears now, but I'm going to listen to the
I
episode
yell
later.
bloody murder.
Just do a long beep on the recording.
Oi. Well, in the list of movies that I had listed, I had said World War Z and The Thing and The Thing. And in the past like 2 or 3 nights, I have watched all 3 of those movies.
Oh wow.
And I got to say, man, when you watch The Thing and The Thing back to back, it really does help the original movie, since the 2011 was the prequel. Mm-hmm. And you get to see, it's like, oh, dude, it's just that paranoia expanded upon.
Yeah.
And it was pretty darn good. But the CG effects versus the practical effects is the main takeaway. But great actors, man. I don't know. She fell asleep on the couch. Did you hear any of the chaos of The Thing?
No, but I've seen it before.
And then I watched World War Z last night.
When's the last time you saw that?
Oh, man. I want to say maybe we had just moved into the apartment. So that was like, what, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. So shortly after we moved in is probably the last time I saw it.
Man.
And
time
so watching
flies.
it, yeah. And so watching it again, it was actually pretty good. The CG effects are still kind of but the idea and the execution and the idea of how to fight the zombie virus by making yourself sick, good idea.
I watched 3 movies, but there were 3 movies I didn't mention on the list, which I should have, or 5 movies, because I watched back-to-back Infinity War and Endgame. I've never done that before. That's a lot of movie,
Yeah, that's like 5.5 hours.
at least. Yeah.
How'd you feel when you were done?
It felt like Endgame dragged a little, because it was, I guess, a lot of information they had to go through in
Yeah.
order for it to make sense. But Infinity War was better because, like, the way it kicked off stuff, it went like, okay, now we're dealing with the Guardians. Okay, now we're dealing with the, it was like
Yeah.
an intro, a cool intro to all of them, from the music to everything of how each superhero is. It's like a quick intro in case you missed it,
Yeah.
And Endgame was a lot of explaining and a lot of like dumb stuff, like Captain America holding little meetings with people who didn't blip, and telling them like we have to move on.
Oh, you didn't like that stuff?
When you haven't seen the movie, it's cool. When
Yeah.
you've seen it, you're like, this is so irrelevant. Like I don't want to see. They were little statements made that like the guy was talking about going on a date with another dude.
Yeah.
But he says like, yeah, I was talking to him and he started crying and I'm gonna date him again, and it's a dude saying it. So you're like, okay, so he's gay. He's going on a gay like date, and you have Captain America completely okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, which is not a bad thing. Like, I'm not saying like he's supposed to be mad or upfront. He's just like, but it's little statements they make like that it's like like I feel like it's too on purpose, you know? Or is it too real? Is it realistic? I don't know. Whatever. Either way, at the end of the movie, you know, when he comes, spoiler alert, but if you didn't see Endgame, fuck you. Like, you should have seen it.
Word.
Loss is different. Not everybody was on the bandwagon. Did you notice when Captain America gets back at the end, and this is not me watching a YouTube video or a conspiracy or anything like that. This is my own opinion. When I watched at the end of Endgame, whenever Captain America comes back and he's like old. Yeah. Remember, Sam looks down at the ring and he's like, "So do you want to tell me about that?" Yeah. What does he say? Do you remember?
He says, "You want to tell me about her?" And I think Captain says,
No,
not
about her." Or does he say her? I think he says about that because he's pointing at the ring. Yeah. Do you want to tell me about that? And if he says her, it doesn't matter. But then Captain says, no, I don't. Which was really weird, which makes me think that, like, because then right after that, it's a scene where he's hugging Peggy.
Yeah, they're dancing in their home.
They're dancing, right? But, like, it makes me feel like if he says no, that leaves it open for, like, I thought I wanted Peggy. I did go back, and obviously that scene shows that I did go back, but that was our last dance because I was being honest with her, and then I married Bucky.
What?
No.
But then you think about that little statement, that little scene where Captain America is okay with the dude being gay, you know?
Wow.
Dude, this entire like thing is him and Bucky are like I know it's a good friendship and strong friendship, but it's a little weird how much it disables him when Bucky's name comes up.
I feel like he just went back and had that last dance with Peggy, and then lived out
a life.
Had a life with her, and
with
then
somebody.
When she naturally passed away, then he came back to the present day, you know, and it felt like seconds after he left. That's the kind of stuff you don't like. Somebody says, "Hey, you want to tell me about that?" And it's like, no. And it's like, because I'll tell you some other day. Like, I don't want to get into how I fell out of love and actually I was honest with myself, and I love Bucky. No. Sarah, how do you feel about that?
No.
Oh, okay. Do you honestly believe that he went and
I think there's a good chance. Okay. I think there's a good chance, and Marvel might capitalize on it later.
Okay, so then let me say this. Mm-hmm. It was like a brotherhood with them, right? You see your friend Jesse as a brother, right? Mm-hmm. If he were to get manipulated or whatever, like how Bucky did, mm-hmm. wouldn't you be devastated because it feels like your brother just died? He's not him anymore. Wouldn't you be devastated too? Mm-hmm. Especially if Jesse actually died, wouldn't you be devastated? Yeah. It's not because you're in love with him romantically. You love him as your brother.
Mm-hmm. But then he's not dead, and he's still, like, the way that they look at each other, the pauses, the moments. If you pay attention to those moments, it's kind of extreme. It's a bit much.
Bucky essentially broke up the Avengers. The whole group was shattered after that. And I remember during, not Civil War, Winter Soldier, or whatever, that I was just thinking, you know what? If they did kill Bucky, would it be the worst thing? He seems to cause nothing but trouble, get into a whole pile of mess time and time again, and now you've broken up the Avengers. Like, that's the last straw for me.
I never thought about it like that. But then the more I think about certain moments that I watch and I pay attention to, I'm like, wait, I'm not 100% sure, obviously. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that point at like that. I've never done that with a friend. Right. There is one part that goes, I don't know if we want to drill so much into this, but there is one part where he's going to kiss the niece. And then Sam and Bucky are in the Beetle watching them. Mm-hmm. And Bucky doesn't seem too upset. So that would be one, like, the only piece of evidence where it's like, okay. Yeah, maybe he's... But then it's like, okay, maybe Bucky's not in love with him the way Captain's in love with.
Oh, man.
It took forever for a kiss.
So you think it's a one-way street?
At one point, yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
There's a different kind of relationship and bond between soldiers than you regular folk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're completely comfortable with showing affection because of what they've been through.
Can you imagine if you were the one that we had pooled money together and be like, go inside this crazy house and just let the act of sex happen?
I wouldn't have done
And
it.
it's like Legends of the Hidden Temple. He's got to go through the darkness. And we're like,
You gotta put the monkey puzzle
I was
together.
gonna say, put the statue of the monkey together. No, that's the head, not the pelvis. God damn it, man.
Hey, in the moment, I'm sure it's very nerve-wracking. You can't tell the legs and the torso apart, but the head is easy. But while you're watching on TV, you're thinking, you dumb fuck. You can't tell. It's backwards.
Okay, look, I don't know. Maybe it is harder when you got a live studio audience and you've got the timer and there's smoke and yada yada, all that's happening. You're just like, I'm sure you go through that moment of realization, like, oh my God, I'm a kid on Nickelodeon in the Hidden Temple.
Yeah.
And I'm putting the statue of the monkey together. And as all that's going through your mind, you're just like, oh my God, this is much harder than it looks on TV.
I think it was the first time we had Time Warner Network. Like
Okay.
we had the cable thing going on. As soon as I saw Legends of the Hidden Temple or Teen Nick or whatever it was
Yeah.
on the schedule and we didn't have it, that's the one thing I asked my mom. I told her, Mom, one of my favorite childhood game shows is on this channel. We don't have it. Can we please have it? And she got it done immediately.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was able to watch it.
Dang, your parents loved you.
Yeah.
I'm like, Sarah, that is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the little things.
Of course. And you're like, what, honey? You don't like C-SPAN? You want Teen Nick. Okay.
Give me Double Dare,
Are you
Legends
trying to
of the
think?
Hidden Temple.
You're talking about like Guts as
Guts,
well? You like
yeah.
Guts was badass, bro.
Yeah.
You remember, did you watch Nickelodeon when you were a kid?
Didn't have any cable.
Oh, God damn it. I don't even know how to...
We can't with you.
Is it offensive if I pity you? Offensive if I pity you?
No.
Turn your mic off. We're
You
done.
should.
God damn. God damn it. Okay, so Guts was basically like an obstacle physical challenge thing for kids. Great. At the end of the show, are you familiar with it at all?
No.
Okay.
I know about Double Dare because of Liza Koshy.
What is that? Is that a person?
He's talking about the newer version
The
of
new
Double Dare.
version.
Oh, yeah,
Not
yeah,
the
yeah.
older,
They did
cooler
reincarnate.
one.
Is the old white guy still a side host? Mm-hmm. Really? That's awesome. Okay.
See, before he had brown hair.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how much younger he was.
Yeah. So, okay, so Guts, at the very end, they do like physical challenges and all this stuff, and whoever had the most points gets to go to the aggro crag. And this is a mountain that had a bunch of other obstacles like rocks falling and glitter all up in your face and all that stuff. And so you had to climb this mountain and
Did you have
hit...
goggles on?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
you had a
good.
helmet. They were safe.
They were in their harnesses.
Yeah, and they even had harnesses that, okay. So you climb this mountain, you get to the top, you hit the buzzer, everyone's happy, and then you get to take home a piece of the aggro crag. And it was a trophy that was like yay big, probably like this tall, I don't know. And it glowed, bro. It said Guts on it, and it glowed green, and it was fucking incredible. And you get like this gold medal that says Guts on it, and I was like, oh my God, I've always wanted to be on that show. Turns out you could go buy pieces of the aggro crag, and then, you go to
that show's
eBay.
not back, right?
No,
Not
I don't
that
think so.
one.
But
Not
then
that
you go
one.
to eBay, people are actually selling their pieces of the aggro crag that they won when they were kids. I don't know why you do that, but
Why would you? I mean, during hard times, you gotta
maybe.
do what you gotta do.
and I remember like looking at some of these trophies, they're like $70, and I thought, how dope would that be to have an actual aggro crag and do none of the work?
And then just have it like
And then
in
be
your-
like,
on
oh,
your
yeah.
shelf or something.
Totally. Look at this Guts. My Guts trophy. You know what that is. And it's like, no, I don't know what that is. Well, fuck you. Get out.
Wow.
If you're not going to praise me and my awesomeness of having a piece of the aggro crag, eat my ass. Get out of here.
Did.
See how quickly that turned?
No, I saw it already with Sarah.
Oh, okay.
You don't like specifically what I used to like get out.
Oh, man. Well, while we were gone, a friend of mine on Instagram posted something to her Instagram page. It was something that her mother had gone and done. Her mother has been so bored that she actually started like Googling funny names of places, and she posted 2 of them. And I thought, this is a perfect opportunity to go and discuss actual locations around the world that have funny names, and then actually give origins to the, like, they got to be named this for a reason. And so, like, upon doing some of this research, some of these actually make sense. Because, as time goes on, something is worded as something, and then 50 years pass, 100 years pass, and the word changes its meaning, and then suddenly you're stuck with something, and you're like, well, 150 years ago, this word did not mean this.
Like
And now
what?
it means something totally different.
Like what?
Intercourse. 150 years ago, it didn't mean what we think it means because we're also dirty-minded people.
What does intercourse mean? Or used to mean?
Oh, I was going to say it's the act of making love or making whoopee. Yeah, there's a place called Intercourse, so I'll get to that in a little bit.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought this was time.
Oh, no. The first one that I found is a place called Yolo County, California, USA.
Yolo County.
Yeah. The name has a few potential histories. It was named in 1850, possibly after the Patwin word Yoloi, meaning abounding in the rushes, or the name of a Native American chief Yodo, or after the Native American village Yodoi. But it probably isn't after the word YOLO, which is an acronym for you only live once. So there you go. See? You got either YOLOI,
From
Yodo,
the sixth god.
or Yodoi. From the what?
The sixth god. Drake.
Is he the one that did YOLO? Drake.
Yeah.
The actor.
Yeah. Not the sixth god rapper.
You're talking about Jimmy, the crippled kid from Degrassi, right?
If you watch Degrassi, then yeah.
Okay. Do you think he's a better rapper or a better actor?
I didn't see him act that much, but when I saw him on SNL, he did really good impressions.
I thought he was a great actor.
He was a great actor.
Yeah, so
he's making way more money doing what he's doing now.
he's good at what he does now. After I tried to fight it, he's done good things.
See, maybe it's just me because I know he has a shit ton of songs, but I think I only like 2 or 3 of them.
And
out of his whole catalog.
But even if you don't like them, like, you have to acknowledge that he's got the most #1 rap songs on the Billboard top 100, like #1.
I just don't.
And the debut #1, like, that's not easy to do.
I don't know, man. Like, you get why I don't like it, right? It's the talk rap thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, not sense. And these, okay, so the songs that I like from Drake have him harmonizing with a little bit of auto tune. And he's not actually like rapping. And those are the songs that I tend to like. And I think I've only heard like 2 or 3 of them.
Like do you know one? Where he's
just hold on, we're going home. I think the song is called "We're Going Home." I think.
Yeah.
And I can't even think of the other, like another Drake song that I like. And I heard it, Shazamming it and adding it to a playlist, and then forgetting about it.
Call me on my cell phone.
No. Probably
no.
Not. You're probably not that one. Okay.
That's
like,
how I feel about it.
I just wonder, like, do people understand what I mean when I say talk rap?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, that's what I think Nicki Minaj does, Cardi B, Lizzo. Even though everybody loves Lizzo right now.
Who is the name of that girl that did the song with the girl that licked a donut?
Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande did a song that had a saxophone in it. And I can't remember the name of it as now because I'm terrible with names.
You're thinking of the white girl, the white rapper.
Yeah, the white rapper. What's her name?
Not telling you.
Ew.
That is, for somebody that already has trouble remembering things, you're just going to be like, oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'm not going to tell you.
I have one less problem.
Yeah, that one. Who's that chick?
She's relevant now and not in the game. So, or actually, she tries to be. She still has contracts. She's still putting music out, but obviously not. Nobody talks about it anymore.
Oh, God damn it. The world just moves way too fast. Okay, well, there's a place out there in Turkey called Batman. So this city was named after the namesake river, but the origin of the name Batman is a bit blurry. It might be the abbreviation of the Bati Rahman mountain nearby, or refer to the old Ottoman Empire weight unit. In the early years of the Republic, Batman was attached to the province of Sirte and was known at that time as Lough. It first became a district in 1957 and changed its name to Batman, and then became a province in 1990.
Okay, so
the only thing that I could see out of this is Bati Rahman. I mean, yeah, you put those things together, you probably get Batman. But
Ramen.
At that time, long before 1957, so there was no Batman. And so when they changed the name at that time, it was known as Lough. So, and you're like, do we should? I don't know. And you look at Lough compared to Batman. So now we get to Intercourse, Pennsylvania, USA. Now, this place was founded in 1754. The community was originally named Cross Keys after a local tavern. Okay. Intercourse became the name in 1814 and was the joining of 2 roads at some claimed to be the basis of the whole town, Cross Keys. So this was like Main Street and Second Main Street coming together, and they named it Intercourse or Entercourse. And then they later just changed the name to intercourse. And when that happened in 1814, obviously you flash forward 150 years and intercourse is totally different now than what it did back then.
Because now we call that intersection.
And now we just call it the act of making babies.
I think y'all are talking about different things.
What are you
Yeah,
thinking
we
of?
are.
When you hear the word intercourse, do you think of two roads crisscrossing?
I thought that was Crossroads.
too.
Cody Rhodes finisher.
Well, yeah, times do change. And then, yeah, eventually there was like, oh yeah, it's a crossroads.
Britney Spears movie.
Ew. Aren't there 2 movies called Crossroads?
I know the Britney Spears one. If there's another one, it might be about Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, something
Or
like that.
Wrong Turn at the Crossroads. That was it. Wrong Turn Part 11.
Oh, God.
At the Crossroads.
You know what I saw today?
House at the Crossroads.
I saw Sharknado 3, Oh Hell No. That was the name of Sharknado 3.
Ew.
Wow.
And I saw that on a vinyl record that somebody was holding on Instagram. And I was like, they put this fucking soundtrack on a vinyl.
Wow.
You know, I think there's 6 of those. Do we deserve to be there?
6 Sharknadoes?
Yeah. And I
that's
think it was
really-
part 5 where they ended up in space.
This started with Shark Week, right?
No. I don't know how this started.
When did Shark Week start?
Oh, God. We were in high school.
I
And
think
it may
we
have
were
even,
out.
It may have even been like before that.
No, I think we were out. When did Step Brothers come out? Because that makes me think of Shark Week.
I remember watching stuff on Shark Week at my grandmother's house. Like just randomly. Because I remember Mythbusters was doing stuff in blah, blah,
And
blah.
you were still in high school?
Oh,
I don't
I
think
would
so.
imagine. I don't know. She passed away in 2008. We graduated in 2005.
Right.
So is it too much of a stretch to say that Shark Week had been going since at least 2004?
Yeah.
It's too much of a stretch.
I
Get
don't
out.
think so.
You know what? Let's talk to somebody who had cable and every channel they wanted. Ask Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, how early do you remember Shark Week?
You want to know something about UPN? Come back to me.
Word.
Oh my God. He was like, there was a St. Patrick's Day Judge Judy marathon. I was all about that.
Or You Are Not the Father.
Oh, there you go.
We were just talking. Oh, okay. We were just talking about Maury today.
We
or this
were?
evening, yeah. Because you said a woman can't be pregnant twice at the same time. I said, yeah, you can.
And I was
And
like,
this woman appeared on Maury.
yeah, okay. So think about, yeah, because it was on Lost. The woman was pregnant. And then I was like, hey, she hits on Hurley. Can't get pregnant twice, right?
Like,
and then
yes,
she
you
goes,
can.
yeah, you can. And I said, shut up, get out. What are you talking about?
It's
Okay,
very rare.
can you back up?
Yeah.
You can't get pregnant twice. Yes, you can. Explain.
It's very rare. Very, very rare. So this woman, she got onto Maury. She has 2 twin boys. She was trying to tell this one guy, like, you are the father of these boys. And I want to say they were identical. How? I don't know. It baffles me. He came out true with one, but not for the other. And it's because she had sex with him and another guy,
Hours in between.
maybe. And she got pregnant by both and ended up having twins. It's super rare. And I
That-
was thinking, this is fucking bullshit. But no, it's true.
But they weren't twins look-alike. They were whatever they call whenever you have 2, but it's not the same.
Fraternal twins.
Yeah. They can't be identical.
No.
Like genetically, like you have my DNA. You like if I'm not gonna use you as an example, but someone else in they can't both look like me if one sperm doesn't belong, right?
I don't know.
No.
It was bizarre.
well because I know that there's twins, identical twins, and then
Yeah.
there's
Paternal twins.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Twins,
Those are like boy and a girl. I think that's paternal twins.
But
Because
if
that's
you're-
what Zach is.
But
Because
if
he's a
you're
twin.
still 2 boys, you can't look alike. You can't. Because
Well,
one is made up of one DNA crossed with her DNA.
Yeah.
And the other one does have her DNA, but someone else's DNA. If this actually happened.
And it did.
Okay. So she was pregnant at the same time with both babies from 2 different
In
men.
the same bag.
What I was trying to get at is that if you're pregnant and you're like 5 months in, you
No,
can't
you
get
can't get
pregnant
pregnant again.
with a baby on top of a baby.
No.
That's what I was trying to get at.
No.
And when you said it can happen, I was like, get the fuck up. Like, you have one uterus and it's occupied, baby. How do you have a baby on top
Apparently,
of a
I
baby?
worked with a girl that had 2.
Uterus?
Yeah. And she was missing.
What?
She was an anomaly. She was missing a kidney.
Okay.
That had two uteri.
And they both worked?
Yes.
That's like
her
having a-
her periods were terrible. It's not funny, but it kind of is. I don't know if I could believe her, but I feel like I could.
How do you?
Yeah.
Now I feel like someone told me one time, they're like, that girl has 3 holes, and I was like, what? And they're like, 3 holes. Now I'm starting to think like maybe there's things that are true. Because I was like, you're a fucking liar.
Yeah.
Get out of my face.
Well, technically they do have 3 holes.
It's not 3 holes. That top one is not a hole.
I mean, it is a hole.
No, it's not 3 holes. No.
I mean,
Sarah,
if you really want to get specific, there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
as he points to mouth and ears. No.
Yeah. Head and shoulders, knees and toes. Knees and toes.
No.
God. Sarah, how many holes do you have? You have 5, right?
I want to say, if we're talking about genitalia as we are,
Yeah, we are.
I'm talking about holes entering the body.
you're
No,
stupid, honey.
no. We're not. That's no.
Okay.
No, just genitalia.
Okay, so please,
Mythbuster here.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not being ignorant, but when they say we have 3, I'm thinking the urethra, the
Yeah.
vagina, and then the anus.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Is that not right?
That's what I thought he was saying when he said, "Yeah, there's 3." And I'm like, no, Nick, no, there's 2.
No,
Nick.
no, I didn't think of the urethra, which is technical term for the pee hole. I didn't think of that.
Nobody
Ours
fucks.
is just as small as yours.
Yeah, nobody fucks there. Nobody should.
Yeah, I was gonna say nobody should. Yeah, but there are people that shove pencils and whatever in the pee hole of men. Like, ugh.
Oh.
What? Yeah, it's like a dominatrix thing.
Yikes.
Well, I've heard of the piercing.
It's right up. Yeah, it's right up
right?
there with like ball busting. Oh no, there are men who like the pleasure of like taking it and like sticking something up into the, the hole.
Into your pee hole.
Yeah.
Into a man's pee hole.
Yeah,
Have you? But that's painful, right? Or
of course, but they do. But there's also that kink of ball busting.
ball busting.
Guys laying on the table, person just pounding away on the dick, on the balls.
I think that's what Chang was doing today on Community with the taser.
I took it as he was toughening himself up.
Yeah,
for
but I
the
think he was
off
getting
chance.
off on it.
Oh, probably. But
So
I
it
figured.
started off as toughening, but then it was like, hey, this kind of feels great.
He says, again.
And that makes sense, right? Like when you are having sex, like the balls do pound a lot against her part, wherever you're doing it, but the balls are banging every time, because they're swinging. But I don't know if it's just like the pleasure of just that motion, because now your dick's not doing it. You saying the pencil in the pee hole was news to me. That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like that would be super painful, but I guess it's kind of like when you have sex for the first time as a woman, it is kind of painful, but after that you're like, daddy.
But then there's but then there's people that like get clamps and they clip it onto the nipples and stuff, like they just want some sort
But
of
the
pleasure.
nipples are different. It's a lot of people's nipples are very sensitive and it feels good for them.
Okay.
Like I don't know about that. Like but I know some guys are like, do it again. They like it. Like it's that's for good for them. But the pee hole? Come on.
Okay, so you also know that there's stuff that go up the bunghole, right?
Well, that's different too.
There's a way to go about it in a friendly way, but then there's ways to go about
your
it in a
butthole is
really
already-
aggressive way.
Your butthole's already a certain size because it's an exit.
Yes.
So your pee hole is not.
It's not. I mean,
It's barely a hole.
But you could also go the reverse with the butthole and aggressively attack it with oversized plugs and toys.
That to me, for some reason, is not outside of this world, just because the hole's already pretty big. And I don't know, people. That's I guess more common. I've seen fists and stuff like
Okay.
Which when somebody starts fisting that part, it's like, what the hell? Like someone's hand is in there, arm.
But they are practicing proper sanitation. They are wearing large gloves that go to the elbow.
No, when I saw it, no.
Oh.
It was just pure. It was raw.
Oh, dear.
I don't even know where I saw this.
Manuel, go in the corner and say 5 Hail Marys.
I'm gonna have to because I'm picturing what I'm saying. I pictured the pencil in the pee hole.
Yeah. Sarah, how do you feel about all this?
How did we get to sex again?
I don't know. I blame Sarah. Oh, no, it was Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
So you.
Always you.
Am I an enabler?
Yes.
No. Okay, fine. Fucking Australia. How about that?
That's not real.
No,
It
it is
is.
real. It is real.
Fucking.
Fucking Australia. Allegedly, the settlement was founded in the 6th century by a Bavarian noble named Focko. F-O-C-K-O. And fucking means the place of Faco's people. So, you know, like, this is Mr. Faco. This is where his people are staying. That's what fucking meant at that time in the 6th century. The name of the town is fucking, and people continue to steal their signs.
I'm sure.
That's okay.
Like,
Wow.
welcome to fucking Australia. Someone steals the sign, and they're just like, what?
So how about just change the name?
Because there's history with that name, Sarah.
So?
Because if you change
It's already
the
in their
name,
history books.
if you take away the name, you take away the legacy of Mr.
Faco.
Bavarian noble of Faco.
Well, fuck of that.
Fuck that. No, that.
No,
Okay.
so just have the new name
In parentheses.
previously known as fucking Australia.
It's what is it now? Princeton? Or something.
I don't know. There's a place out there called Wet Wang, Ireland. The village of Wet Wang is located at the crossroads of the A166 and B1248, which may explain how the village got its Viking name of Vertvanger, meaning the meeting place or the place of justice. I tried. I went to Wet Wang, Ireland, and it was like a tourist website about this town. Nowhere in there did they explain the origin of the name, but boy howdy did I get a whole lot of information reading up on like the local
you were gonna say
taverns
pop-ups.
and the ice creameries and the farms that surround the little small town, and I got a bunch of pictures to look at, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Bunch of sexy local ladies who want to live nearby.
No, you want to, I mean, it still looks
Wet
like
Wang.
it still looks like Amish country, bro.
Oh,
Even today, it looks like they push it. I don't know if these people even know what a tractor is. It looks like they still plow their fields with horse and carriage or whatever.
it's cheaper.
I guess that's true. But yeah, I couldn't find any origins as to how they came across to name their town Wet Wang.
What do they call? Because we use penis a lot here. Dick. What did they say? What do they say? There's something specific they say over there.
Johnson?
Do they say cock? No, something else. Wanker.
Wanker.
There you go, yeah.
Wait, no. That's you.
Australia.
That's a person.
Wanker is not Australian?
Well, I mean, the British say it.
There you go. That's probably what it is.
You wanker.
You wanker. But that's a person because he wanks the dick.
Yeah. And so is wank penis?
Wanking is jacking off, right?
Yeah.
So then wanker is the person. So then
Wank is the
would
penis?
be the. No, I've never heard wank.
I never heard
I have
of it
my
either.
wank in my hand. No.
There's a place in Western Australia called Lake Disappointment. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It was named by the explorer Frank Hann in 1897. Hann was in the area exploring the East Pilbara around Rudall River. He noticed several small creeks in the area flowing inland, and he followed them hoping to find a large body of water. And the lake was very unimpressive and mostly dry, and so he went ahead and named it Lake Disappointment.
Fair enough.
And then from henceforth, that's what it was known. Now, what about St. Louis Duhaha?
Oh, she's bringing the lane to life.
I guess. That's how you say it, and that's how it's spelled.
Okay.
How Sarah's saying it right now.
Do you remember on Finding Nemo when they were in the fish tank and they were doing the, I don't know, it was like some sort of ceremony, and they were like, blah, blah, hoo-ha.
Yep.
That's exactly when I read this name. I was like, oh, it's St. Louis Duhaha. The name is believed to be derived from the archaic French word of haha, which refers to an unexpected obstacle or the ending of a path, such as a cul-de-sac. The obstruction, if this origin is true, would be Lake, Temasquacha, just beyond the town. Louis is believed to have been one of the town's founders. So his name is St. Louis, and then the haha was this lake. And so that's how you get St. Louis Duhaha.
Not be
You
this
should.
funny. Should not be this funny.
What was the thing that did you see the thing that did we send it? Did you watch the pig falling down
You actually sent it in our group.
rolling down the hill? Oh my God.
Hi.
Oh man.
That poor pig. You messed up, girl.
So in the video, okay,
Uncontrollable.
you're probably gonna have to post it on Twitter. So what happened was there was this really fat pig that looked to have eaten way too much, and it's laying on its side or its back, belly nice and round, and this country boy comes up and he's like, "Hey man, you okay?" I forget what the accent was, but he was like, "Look at that pig over there. You just fine? That one's okay."
And
then
pig over there just fine? And pig over there just fine? You messed up, girl.
And so he like kind of kneels down and touches the pig's belly and pushes him like he wants to roll the pig over. And then the pig just rolled over and then went down a hill. And the pig was defenseless.
Uncontrollable.
And the
It passes by another pig, which doesn't do shit.
So you've got like a fat pig that can't stop himself rolling down the hill. And then the country guy's like, oh shit.
He still sounds so chill about it.
And then when he gets down to the bottom of the hill, he touches the pig. He's like, hey, boy, you okay? And the pig starts squealing like, don't touch me. And then the video ends.
They don't do. No, I know where this is going.
Oh, my God.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Manuel, do you want to go first before Sarah opens up her junk drawer?
Yeah, we were talking about the conspiracy theories, and I started thinking about like why anybody would ever get into conspiracy theories.
Okay.
You guys are, okay to listening to conspiracy theories,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I mean, this is
definitely.
the Six Sad Cast, right?
Yeah.
Podcast. Do you guys remember the first conspiracy theory that you guys heard that got your attention? You were like, whoa, this might be possibly true.
Okay. Does believing in Bigfoot count as a conspiracy theory? Or is that just like...
Urban legend.
Urban legend?
Or no, myth. I think legend's a story, whereas if you're talking about unknown creature, it's mythical. And then story is urban legend.
But do we know for sure that it's a myth?
Well, no, but we don't know for sure if a legend actually comes from a true thing.
But that's what legends are. It's just things that people say. We don't know if it's true, but it comes from not from tradition, but from generation to generation, right?
Yeah, as time goes on, the stories
a
become
legend.
more and more fantastic. Would aliens and UFOs classify as conspiracy theories?
There's UFOs all the time now, but
Yeah.
but that doesn't necessarily mean aliens, right? So, but because we don't know, I feel like the government's so ahead in what they're using with technology in the skies that we still think they're UFOs, but I think that they're U.S. Military planes or objects or whatever, right?
Okay.
But to us, they are unidentified.
Okay.
Depending.
How about this? I had heard the theory that every UFO that has been sighted is actually a machine of time travel from the future of humans traveling back to check up on its own history, and they have been spotted in the sky.
Yeah.
And that means there's actually no other life forms out there, and we are actually alone in the universe, mistaking these UFOs as alien, but they're not.
But they're not. It's just us from the future.
Yeah.
I really like that theory. When people have conspiracy theory, it's like conspiracy means that there's other people trying to hide it, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Do we even have proof? I think the theory is awesome, but we have to add conspiracy theory because that means the government must know. Somebody knows about it and they're covering it up, right?
Kind of like John F. Kennedy and the second magic bullet.
That one is.
That
yeah.
one's a conspiracy. I don't know a whole lot about that conspiracy. I have heard that they do believe that there was a second shooter, that in the time that the president was shot and there were like 2 exit wounds, or I don't know what the fuck it was, but then they were like, the model of rifle that was used, the 2 shots would not have been able to sound off as quickly as they were, no matter how fast you rebolted the gun.
So I'm not an expert on what went down that day, but I don't remember the second shooting being part of the official story. But is this people saying that there was a second shooter? Because what I remember was that the way he was shot and where they got, what's his name? The guy that supposedly did shoot him. I can't think of it right now. When they apprehended him, there was no way the shot came from that direction.
Yeah.
And that's why they're like, so then there was a different shooter? Or because this guy had a gun and I think he confessed, but I don't know if
But
actually...
they needed a fall guy, and so they pinned it on this dude.
Yeah.
Who may have been working in cahoots with the second shooter. Like, I don't know.
A
And it sounds-
scapegoat.
Yeah.
I mean, he was...
And then that guy later gets shot in the hallway of a police station.
Yeah.
And I think he dies from
He
that.
dies,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, well, we never really could get the full story. I don't know. So that's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Is that the guy who did not kill himself?
That's the guy who hung himself in jail. Yeah.
But he hung himself, but didn't hang himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a conspiracy because it's like,
'Cause, I mean-
where's the footage? Oh, the cameras weren't working that day.
Yeah.
That really
And the guards were
asleep.
Oh my god.
They filled out the forms, but that was, so, like, okay, so the first one for you was, you said Bigfoot then.
Yeah.
Whether it was a myth or a legend, whatever. So that would be your first one. But what about you, Sarah?
I guess naturally for me it would be ghosts. That's always been my long time interest. And instead of believing everything I saw, that's the very first thing from what I can remember that I actually started to question.
Did your mom and dad tell you, like, when we die, we go to heaven or we go to hell, or what were...
They let us explore what religion we wanted to believe in. We grew up Baptist, but I explored different churches, so it wasn't that.
So then did you start thinking, like, okay, maybe when we die, maybe we don't go to heaven, where we just kind of hang around, or what did you start to think?
I guess I naturally believed first that spirits are left here because of a traumatic ending or unfinished business. You know, like the common thing that you would think of that would leave you in limbo before you can move on.
You were taken abruptly, and so, or taken from life, or life was taken from you abruptly, so then you stick around because it's unfinished business or something that you want to say to somebody.
It was really evidence that they would show on the TV shows I would watch. Mm-hmm. Later on, I would start to question, because I always believed, like, oh, an orb's an orb. Like, you can't debunk it or anything like that. Or this was this, or, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. But now I don't believe everything I see.
When you say, now I don't believe everything I see, is because you've seen it be faked before? Or...
I mean, you got to question orbs. Mm-hmm. It could be multiple things. Because it can be how something, even in the dark...
Especially with night vision, you know.
It can be reflected in a certain way.
Yeah.
So I personally want to look for ectoplasm. So the weird squiggly motions you catch on camera. Or
fog-like motion.
Or a silhouette. And I really enjoy EVPs.
Do you think we can actually capture something on camera? Like when something is captured, do you think we actually have the technology to capture it, or that they would allow themselves to be captured?
Yeah. This is my own personal experience, but I actually caught something face to face. I didn't have my phone on me or anything, but I was with two other people and we saw the exact same things that night. The person that was taking me and my friend, we stopped at a Bucky's and he says, hey, there's this undeveloped neighborhood. It's just on a little cul-de-sac. Do y'all want to go look at it? I was like, yeah, sure. So we see this white silhouette of what I thought was a woman. She just floated there. And we were all just staring at her until she would go all the way back to the door and beyond where there was bushes and trees and stuff. And then she finally vanished. So then we go to walk over to the tree and then we see a light floating in between the trees and it would go in and out like a lantern. So I was like, oh shit. See, now I want to go back. I want to see if this place still exists.
Yeah, it sounds.
And fortunately, but unfortunately, because I'm glad we got to experience it. But unfortunately, we didn't catch it on any video evidence or picture evidence. But I think some of the best ones, and I'll bring up this one, was the ghost hunters when they went to Florida and explored an infamous lighthouse that was there.
Oh, yeah. That was a great episode.
I guess I'll call it the San Augustine Lighthouse because that's where it is. I've been there twice, once during the day and then once at night. And during their investigation, they had a camera looking up at the spiral staircase, and you see a black figure look over and then go back. That's one of the best. And I don't like ghost hunters, but that's one of the best evidence I think they've ever caught.
Yeah, and there was no one up there.
No.
Crazy. Another conspiracy theory that I'm willing to entertain the idea of, but I don't know, is planes that disappear.
Like on 9/11?
No, not
no.
like on that.
I'm just kidding.
Malaysia Airlines.
Yeah, there you go. That one. I think that's the one that just disappeared, right?
The one that
several years ago.
The famous one.
Yeah,
that
and it didn't. They don't think it crashed, or there was no evidence that it crashed in the ocean or anything, right?
I think they've now since found remnants of the plane.
Okay, so they think it did, but there's a theory that plane took off. It was intercepted by some sort of government, landed. And then all those people were somehow sworn to secrecy. They're like, y'all all have new lives and identities. Y'all have to adhere to this. And if y'all deviate and try to get in touch with your families, like, we'll kill you and we'll kill all your families or some shit.
You can't trust 200 plus people. You can't.
Like, okay, but even if that was a plausible idea.
They were killed.
Why would they do that, though? What does that prove? So what? You intercept an airplane and you kill them for what?
So yeah, that's a silly conspiracy theory.
But you would have to, like, if they did do that, right? If they did land the plane, and then they killed everybody, then there was something on the plane that they wanted coming from that country, without anybody else knowing that it was going to make it there.
Like if someone was smuggling like a virus or something.
Something huge, right? But nothing changed. Like that, the plane disappeared, and it didn't seem to change anything with another country, or
Yeah. That, and then of course like ghost ships and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was thinking when it happened, when MH370 disappeared from Malaysia, like it seemed like they entered a part of a dimension, like for a quick second, and then they are still alive. They still continued on, but not in our universe.
They went on to Earth 2. They found a pocket and crossed over.
It was just a quick opening that they were able to get through, and they're close right up.
That's a cool theory.
I mean, the most infamous one is Amelia Earhart and the Bermuda Triangle.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah. Oh man, I would love to do an episode on the Bermuda Triangle.
Similar to that. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Several weeks ago, I started flirting with the idea of the Bermuda Triangle, only because I was listening to an audible book, and it had something to do with the last recordings of Amelia Earhart. But anyway, this little girl was obsessed with Amelia Earhart, right? And so she was following her radio frequency as she started her trip around the world or whatever she was doing. And this little girl was logging everything in her journal. And when Amelia put out like the Mayday signal, this little girl wrote it down or some shit. And then when Amelia vanished, there were like ancestors of her that later tried to find out maybe what happened. And then they somehow traced it back to the young girl who's now a grandmother and is like 80 something years old. And I don't know why they started talking to her, because I think there was an Amelia Earhart museum that they were trying to put together, and I don't know. Anyway, they started looking at this old woman's notes that she wrote down when she was like 7 or 8. The family was trying to get closure with this, but there were people like, are you really going to take what a 7 or 8 year old wrote down in her journal? Are you really going to believe this? And they were just like, well, according to her, she was logging everything that Amelia said over the radio. She had lost frequency from wherever she had taken off from, and this person is probably the only person to hear specifically those Mayday calls and wrote everything down.
Do you know what she said?
I can't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, this is a cool little 2.5 hour book that was for free. And so then I was like, man, I really wonder what happened to Amelia. Did she really just like disappear? Did she perish in the ocean? Did she land? And
we lost the plane in Malaysia Airlines was 2014. So MH370 in 2014, we lost the plane. Big ass plane.
Yeah.
Imagine losing a small little plane in what year was it? 19.
Oh, I don't know what it was.
20
But
something?
then I remember hearing like several years back that there might have been evidence in some jungle country that there was an old plane from the era of Amelia Earhart that seemed to match what her make and model was. I don't know if like they matched the airplane serial number. I don't know if that went anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, did she not perish? Did she crash somewhere and then die somewhere in an not civilized area, but like in a non-populated jungle? And that's why her body has never been found. Because if she just died in the jungle, she'd be eaten by animals. And, okay,
like
maybe.
Carol Baskin's husband?
Okay, see, there's another conspiracy theory.
That's
Which
not
we
a
still have not
conspiracy
watched.
theory. The only person trying to hide anything would be her, if it was her.
If. Big ol' if. But yeah, okay. So what is it? What is one of your earliest memories of getting into conspiracy theories?
I was a good boy, man. Like I, the world was pink and blue and everything was fine and dandy.
And then
until
what? You got the internet?
I went to the Dominican Republic, and every day I'd get to work, I would have 8 hours to do nothing, because
what kind of job was this? I want that job.
Well, it was for Dish. I was an executive going to different training sites around the world. So when I got there, they were so disorganized. I was able to do basically my job for 8 hours and half an hour.
Wow.
So I ended up watching a few things on YouTube, and then I read something about George W. Bush and how he owns a lot of the oil that comes into this country, specifically the Walmart brand oil. You guys know that Murphy USA thing? The gas store for Walmart. And so I didn't know that he had owned that, right? And so, and then I was like thinking about what people were saying, that we went and what we did with Tucson. So this had to have been 2011. And so I remember like why we went to war. We lived it, right? Nobody ever questioned anything. You remember when we went there to retaliate, basically everybody who was not on board was a terrorist, or you were against America, right? People had American flags on their cars, and it just seemed like we were wounded and hurt, and we had to get even. We had to do something about it, right?
Okay.
I started to read about the details on what happened that day because I was so young. Even the word, I hadn't even ever heard the word terrorist. Do you remember how many planes were involved on that day, Sarah or Nick?
On
3?
9/11?
No, 4.
On 9/11.
I believe there was 4.
Yeah.
One in Pennsylvania, one to the Pentagon, and then 2 of the towers.
Perfect. I love talking to some people who, like, I've asked other grown people this same question, and they're like 5. And I was like, oh, that's pretty close. But then I get 6.
What?
And then I got 1. And so then I was like, okay, cool. So I started to, I wanted to know more details about it. The first thing I started to research was what happens when this goes down. And there's always protocol. And then do you guys know our air defense system covers Canada and the U.S.? Like, when stuff like this goes down, the U.S. responds with, they scramble fighter jets and they go up to the sky. They talk to the plane, they radio in, and they say, hey, we have orders to escort you down to the ground, or we'll obliterate you out in the sky because you cannot crash or land or be more danger to the people that are already on board. That's just protocol. And so on that day, I'm like, so how many fighter jets were scrambled? Like, I want to know, what happened? How did 2 planes hit this, and then 1 plane hit the most guarded building in, I would say, the world? Turns out that we didn't scramble the jets. We didn't follow protocol at all that day because there was somebody else in charge that day that wasn't ever in charge of...
yeah, because he was at an elementary school.
Yeah. Well, no, and even the chief officer, which would have been Bush, he's not in charge of NORAD, which is the North American Air Defense System. But then I read more, and I was like, wait, so who was in charge? Dick Cheney was in charge. Dick Cheney was in charge 3 months before 9/11. Bush sent a memo and put Dick Cheney in charge, which would have been the first time in history that a vice president was in charge of NORAD.
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I started to read more about what happens when planes crash. And when I was doing that, I was like, okay, so then when there is a plane crash, they have a special team that if there are any survivors, they make first contact. They talk to these people and they listen to the black boxes. So then I was like, okay, so there's 4 planes. Let me check out the black boxes. What did they get from that? And then I was like, well, because of how hot the metal was at and the fuel that was burning in the buildings, they never retrieved those black boxes. I was like, okay, what about the one in Pennsylvania? That one just hit the ground. That one has to be there. There was no black box. So then I was like, okay, well, how many casualties were in the Pentagon? And it's like, oh, well, we moved everybody from that side of the Pentagon. We gave them the day off, and the other people working on the other side because there were IT updates. And I was like, so then nobody died that day? No, nobody got hurt, and there was no black box. I don't know, this just doesn't seem right.
I mean, I know black boxes can survive crashes.
They're specifically built for that, so that we can see and hear, so we can hear the last moments of what happened in that cockpit. Because even if they're radioing and no one's hearing them, the black box picks up what the pilot's going through.
I don't know how a little box would be able to sustain that type of impact or abuse or something. And when the plane went down in Pennsylvania, and you see there's not a whole lot left of that thing. You know, when a meteorite hits the Earth at full impact, or like when it hits the moon or something like that, what is left behind? A crater. Where are the pieces of the rock? What, do they just obliterate into tiny little pieces, and they just go out into the air and they're just gone or something like that? Mm-hmm. The way I understood the one in Pennsylvania was that it was basically a nosedive straight down. It's going to hit, there's probably going to be an explosion, but the velocity that it hit was so powerful that it's just pulverized into pretty much nothing. You know, when you're looking at the crash site, you just see a crater, maybe some skid marks in the ground, and then you see the pieces of metal that are all around you, and you're that doesn't look like it adds up to a plane. But it may have just been pulverized and disintegrated upon...
Yeah, there was very impact. Little to look at, right?
Yeah.
But the black boxes are specifically designed for that, and they're not
How
huge.
are they tested, though? How do you test something like that? Do you crush it as hard as, then do you, test it with heat or something? What is it made out of?
I can look up
Because
what
if
it is.
it's designed for that, why aren't there more things made out of whatever material that thing's made out of?
Well, I guess the bigger they are, right? I think that's when it's easier to break in half or whatever. But it's expensive material. Like, it's expensive to do that. So if you build a bus or a plane or something made out of that, it's not going to be economic to have many of them. So, but that's what they're built for. And I can get specifics on how they're trained or how they're tested and then built for. But every plane crash, almost every plane crash, if not I don't remember correctly, every plane crash before that has had a black box. All 4 of them don't have a black box. That's just really weird. That's a coincidence. Like, I don't know. That just didn't sit right. So I started Googling because I was like, is there really not one, or we're not privy to them? And no, there is officially no black boxes recovered that day. When I saw the IT updates on the Pentagon, I saw okay, so what about the towers? And there were 3 weeks before that, there were a bunch of white buses who would park at the base of the towers, and they were doing 3 weeks before 9/11. We're doing IT updates to not every floor, but certain floors on those towers, which led to, of course, them saying that it was a controlled demolition. And I was like, okay, so if it was a controlled demolition, then they had to have access to the building. And then who had access to the buildings? I looked up who owned the buildings, and this I think it was Larry Silverstein. He owned the buildings, and then that led me to a whole other thing, to like what he was doing leading up to those days, that month. January of that year, he goes to court because he has insurance on these buildings, and he says, because these insurance policies are not like the kind you would do with your car, where you can just go in and change whatever you want, take a car off, put a car on. It's documented that in January of 2001, he said, hey, I want to change my policy. I want to change it to, I don't need my garage covered anymore, and but I do want my windows protected, and I don't need this, but I do need it for fire and terrorist attacks. And then if we could change the painting, there was a list of stuff, but in there he said terrorist attacks.
Okay. Wasn't it in the mid to early 90s where there was a terrorist attack down in the parking garage of one of these twin towers? Somebody had driven a white van loaded with a bunch of TNT, and when it blew up, I don't know if it clearly didn't damage too much of the integrity of the building, but it was an attack of some sort with some sort of an explosion. And so, now it's like, okay, well, we've prepared for lightning strikes, high winds. Now we have to think of terrorist attacks. Something like this has never happened before, but some fool tried to blow up the parking garage and bring down the whole building, and it didn't work, thankfully.
And to be fair, if it's kind of like a new cycle where you have to kind of renew your policy for something, so for a skyscraper like that, for a property like that, you want to make sure you have everything covered. I would imagine for a property like that is something completely different, but I don't know.
Yeah, it could all be just coincidence, but
because maybe his cycle before didn't have terrorist attacks, and he was like, you know what, for the next 10 years I want terrorist attacks covered in my thing, starting in 2000, because he was like, yeah, whatever, before. Let me start the new millennium in 2001, let me cover the next 10 years with terror, let me include terrorist attacks.
Yeah, hey, sometimes there's terrorist attacks 8 months before,
Maybe, I don't know.
What I was getting at with the IT updates, with not every floor, not every other floor, certain floors.
Yeah.
When the workers would come by or would come in the morning, they witnessed and they testified saying that they'd show up to their desk and it was like people were drilling. Like there was dust on their desk, like there was constantly dust and debris. There were certain, like the floors that were being worked on, you couldn't even access them. And so I'm like, if this was a controlled demolition, they did it during those IT updates, and they were like unmarked white vans that would show up every day until those IT updates were complete.
Well, I'd imagine if you're remodeling an entire floor, you work on the 70th floor, but on floors 45 through 50 are completely being redone. Mm-hmm. And we're talking like being gutted, installing new walls and all that stuff. So it's a construction site. They don't want any randos just I'm going to land on this floor.
I forgot my pen. Let me go to my floor really quick.
Yeah. It's a liability.
Yeah, they don't want any randos just stopping. I would imagine that they put in place, unless you have like a special key or take a special service elevator so they can get to those floors so they can work. You have
So-
to be part of the construction crew.
If somebody's doing an IT update, do you think it's like you cannot come in here?
Well,
and
I
do
don't
this
know
type
what
of
the
work?
standard, when we think of an IT update, we're thinking of what we saw in the office. I don't know how it goes for a huge building like
Even
that.
if they had to rewire.
I don't know. Maybe they needed to gut everything because we don't know how long whatever IT system had been in place. Those buildings are old, and it's not like you could just do top to bottom. We're doing this whole building in
They were meant to
3 months.
survive Y2K, or up to Y2K, not after Y2K. So when we survived, it was time for a
They were probably
major
installing
update.
all new servers and hard drives or whatever that are probably so industrial that will take up a whole entire floor. Probably. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but
I mean,
it
it could be.
definitely take up this whole house if they needed those kind of things to help out a whole building.
Yeah, because we don't know how many different businesses operated inside of one building.
Mm-hmm.
That building probably had 50 to 100 different businesses, each business occupying 1 or 2 floors apiece,
Yeah.
all the way up to the top. You know,
I just kept looking back at, okay, so we broke protocol and there's no black boxes. And then I'm like, so why was Dick Cheney in charge? Why did Bush put Dick Cheney in charge of NORAD? And on that day, on that morning, the only reason that they say that he was told, like, hey, this is happening, what do we need to do? Dick Cheney stood down for 91 minutes and did not scramble the jets, said, I hold off, we need to know this is real world. Because apparently on the morning of 9/11, they were running what they call war games, and the war game was like a rehearsal, pretending that a commercial airline plane had been hijacked and the target was the Twin Towers.
That's too coincidental.
On top of that, then you start to look at, okay, well, if the Twin Towers were standing like this next to each other, one, do you remember where they got hit?
The first one was high.
And the other one?
The other one was much lower,
Right.
almost the middle.
Yeah. So one was really high, and one was not in the middle, but close to the middle. And yet, both buildings fell exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, this one up here, I don't know why it fell. And this one, when this one fell, I was like, okay, maybe it hit an integral part of the building that it
Or it already
you know,
suffered structural damage from this one.
Yeah, and when you look at like buildings that have been hit like that on the side or that do collapse, it just falls, right? The rest of it's still standing.
It did kind of demolish like an explosion.
And so it just simple stuff. It should have fallen. Let's say it didn't, but when it imploded and it fell all the way down, this one did the exact same thing, and it was hit in a completely different spot. Like, I'm not an expert. This is just me telling you guys that that's what happened, and those are the facts. But like, without being an expert, you're like, that's not even. First of all, they built these buildings to withstand. They're gonna be so high in case there's an accident. They need to withstand a plane crashing into it. They were literally built for that, just like the black boxes.
technically they did survive the impact of the plane. They did not topple over upon impact.
I don't
Understand.
think they anticipated the object.
Understand. When they built these towers in the early 1900s, large industrial planes like what hit them did not exist. The largest plane was probably the size of this house. So when they made these buildings to specifically withstand the impact of the largest plane at the time, pales in comparison to whatever we had, 75, 100 years later. When I don't know when these things were erected, in the 20s or 30s or whatever it was, is when they probably finished.
I don't know. I don't remember the year, but there's still steel buildings, and steel doesn't melt at the temperature that the plane fuel would have been burning.
Yeah, but the plane object wasn't actually supposed to stay idle in the building either. So I would imagine more cumulative heat from the plane and the building and other debris catching fire didn't help matters either.
I think from people who are not in the business, right? Like you could say one of them for sure. Like the way it hit, it could have fallen to the side or imploded. But the other one fell exactly the same. And then 7 blocks over, you had World Trade Center 7 that did not get hit and fell the same way.
Okay, but we also have that church that was also nearby that was untouched by anything.
It imploded?
No. There was a church that was completely untouched that was very close to the World Trade Center.
Well,
like everything around it was covered in dust and everything, and then suddenly, do you remember that? Do you remember seeing about that? Mm-mm. There was this little tiny church that was like a beacon of hope. Somehow was undamaged, not dirty, completely intact by comparative to everything around. You see a war zone, and then you look at this building and you're just like, how did this not get affected at all?
But what I'm saying is the World Trade Center 7 is of the Larry owns all of these. They were interviewing him, and they told him about World Trade Center 7. They said it's on fire. Everybody's been evacuated. And he said the words, pull it. And then it imploded just like the other two. So why was that building ready to be demolished?
What?
World Trade Center 7?
Was it ready to be demolished?
It was. He said, pull it. He gave the direction. The words were, pull it. Kind of like what you say when you're demolishing a building.
Wasn't that building also like on fire inside somehow?
They said there was a fire, but not jet fuel, nothing happened to that building.
But they deemed it a lost cause, so pull your crew, get out of there.
No, pull it, like demolish it, and then it did.
I don't know. I take it.
I'm telling you.
I take it as move all medical personnel. If there's any firefighters there, pull everyone and just let it happen.
There's been a tremendous loss of lives. Go ahead and pull it, the building, and then it imploded just like the other two. That's when I was like, this is too much. Like, something happened here. And then obviously George Bush is an idiot and being caught lying on TV and stumbling up on his words that eventually couldn't be interviewed without Dick Cheney being next to him. Stuff like that is what got me first into conspiracy theories. And I was like, so what was the end game here? Turns out they wrote a book and that this is what they wanted. This is the new American Century Project. And they said that in order to build more American bases around the world to make the United States a more world power government, they would need a catalyzing catastrophic event like a new Pearl Harbor. That's what and you know who wrote this book? George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Donald Rumsfeld. And all those guys were basically the regime in 2000. And so it's like, okay, so how do you build more bases? How do you get there? Oh, we have to go to war, but we can't just go to war. We're not the bad guys. We have to have a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not saying we did all of it, but I think we found out about it, we enhanced it, and allowed it. Because we stood down for a large amount of time for no reason.
It also kind of sounds like, we were in peace and harmony in the 90s, survived Y2K, and we were still
War ended.
And we were still looking at the world as like peace and harmony from the 90s, because everything was happy and all that. And then, okay, I think it's time that we can let the vice president run NORAD. It's never been done. Why the hell not? What can possibly go wrong? And then everything just kind of happens because we were going through life thinking everything's fine, because up until then, everything had been fine. And then this one catastrophic event changes the world. All of this stuff would probably never happen again. But that's how I see it. All of these things were just happening as a carryover from the 90s when everything was hunky-dory. So, and then we were punched in the mouth like, you cannot let your guard down or assume that everything's fine.
But he broke protocol for a long time, like way too long. Like it wasn't 15 minutes. It wasn't 20 minutes. It wasn't an hour. Like it was a long time.
Is that something that needs to be approved by the Senate?
Breaking protocol?
Yeah.
Mm-mm. No, he's in charge. He said everything goes through him. He's the last stop, which never happened before.
But doing war games, he thought it was part of the game.
That was the excuse.
Okay.
It wasn't like, oh, well, this is the new protocol during war games, which George Bush said, and Condoleezza Rice said at the time was like, we could have never imagined anything like this. Which is why we got... Because they're like, how could this happen?
We also couldn't have imagined Pearl Harbor. How can that happen? A little bit of ingenuity and want can take it a long way. Those torpedoes were not supposed to float in that shallow of water. They figured out a way to make it happen.
But even Pearl Harbor, I'm not going to get into right now, but if you're #woke, there's people with evidence that show Pearl Harbor Burr was
with the brand new technology of a radar system, and they're like, well, is that a flock of birds or is that a whole bunch of airplanes?
I'll have to research it. I haven't researched it, but there's a lot of things showing that Pearl Harbor was also another thing that we allowed.
So when it comes to the 1940s history, I'm very ignorant to it, but they were trying to invade Asia and the other Asian countries.
The Japanese?
Mm-hmm. And they were probably threatening to come and get us, but we're probably like, nah, y'all won't make it. So then before we knew it, boom.
Yeah, we didn't think that they had the aviation or naval capacity to cross that large of a body of water to even get to us. And we're like, we just assumed we're too far. Go fight your neighbors. You're not going to get to us.
And
is that what you think we thought, or is that what?
Oh, no, I believe that we were probably too big-headed at the time, didn't take them as a legitimate threat, and then we let our guard down, and we didn't think they were going to come all the way over here to us.
But I think we also did have a spy, too.
We might have.
I think that's been confirmed, but don't quote me on it. So that helped them, too, to know exactly where to hit. But again, we were being naive and ignorant to their capabilities.
Mm-hmm. And then with the new technology of the radar, which was very rudimentary way back in the 40s, it was probably hard to determine, is this big blop a blimp, a flock of birds, or is that a cluster of airplanes really close together?
Right.
Yeah.
Because at that time, you couldn't really tell individual dots. If a lot of things were close together, it came up as one large blip.
And wouldn't that be alarming?
It could have been a flock of birds. At that time, there was no way to know because that technology was still in trials and it was still new. They're just like, hey, look at this. And they're just like, okay, well, what am I looking at?
Yeah, or how many flocks have we seen like this? These are just normal. This is without me knowing anything about this, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if your argument is that, then is this the first flock we've seen? And
for them to think it could be a flock of birds, they probably did see a bunch of flocks of birds pop up on the radar
over the time
from whenever they installed the radar to the day that Pearl Harbor happened. And then, of course, thinking the Japs would never come this far. They would never come to us. And then they did. And we did see something on the radar. Mm-hmm. But again, up to that point, we're just like, it could just be another flock of birds, or it could be our guys practicing.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
I'm gonna read back up on the details, like just the facts, like right. Not I don't want to look at any conspiracy or anything, like any theories, like none of that. I'm just gonna look at the facts. I want to know what happened to the footage for the Pentagon. That's the most guarded building. If I went and tried to shoot the Pentagon, they'd have video of me walking up to that bitch.
Now they would.
No, even then.
But back in 2011.
No, even
or 2001.
Then, no, even then, bro.
I don't know. But it was also static footage, right? It was like it wasn't 60 frames a second. It wasn't even 30 frames.
We don't have that.
It was like one frame every 5 seconds, right?
No,
it was that one camera from a gas station.
The gas station one is the only one that caught an explosion, like something exploded, not a plane. And so that's what I want to see. Is why can't we see that?
I don't know. Even if a plane at such...
They catch an object in frame, but then the next one is an explosion.
Yeah, because it's like one frame every 5 seconds.
But the object's not a plane. We see something, but we don't know what it is. It's not a plane.
Well, when you're recording at one frame every 5 to 3 seconds, you're not, and it's coming that fast.
And it's not HD.
And that's perfectly fine.
It's not HD. It's fast as a bullet from a gun, even though it's a large object. When you take out all those other frames, you can't really tell what it is.
And
it could be
okay.
It could be the tip of the nose of the plane, and then big explosion. You're like, what the fuck hit the thing? Unless someone saw it with their naked eye or something.
Then I want to see the one from the Pentagon, from everywhere around the Pentagon.
I don't know. I mean, even if there were perimeter cameras of the Pentagon, don't you think they're looking largely towards the grounds of the Pentagon? They wouldn't have even seen the plane coming. You go to any business and you see security cameras, they're not pointing straight out. They're pointing at a downward angle because they want to make sure that if anyone walks in and does something, they can look at the footage and see where the person came from. They want to see what they look like.
There's cameras for that, and then there's cameras for the side and cameras for the back
that are just pointing at the sky? That are just pointing straight ahead at the street?
That are pointing at the building, bro. I don't care about we see it coming. Just want to see it impact.
Okay,
but you got to be fair. Probably not then.
Probably not. And so what structure would
we had?
At the
structure?
Pentagon?
Yeah, even
Y'all
at the Pentagon.
are kidding me right now.
They
Okay.
probably only had a security gate.
Guys, we have video footage of so many things in the 90s that it's ridiculous to think that the Pentagon had no security footage.
No. What I'm trying to say
2001.
is there's what structure around the Pentagon would have cameras pointing at the Pentagon? For when they have their own security cameras, probably on the exterior of the building, possibly pointing at a downward angle because that's what they're monitoring, the grounds. They're not monitoring the skies of the Pentagon with security cameras. Why would you do that?
Which
You have
Just
days
show
and
me the
days
one
of
where it
footage
impacts
at a blue sky.
So show me the one that impacts a building.
There is no camera. Why would you do that? Sarah, do you want to open up the junk drawer?
Okay, so I wanted to do random facts about the human body. So the first one is, it's possible to brush your teeth too aggressively. Doing so can wear down your enamel and make teeth sensitive to hot and cold foods.
I wonder how hard you have to go, though. And when you get like a brand new toothbrush, sometimes those bristles hurt.
Yeah.
I think it's over time if you just overdo it.
Goosebumps evolved to make they put our ancestors' hair stand up, making them appear more threatening to predators.
Really?
Yeah.
So every time the cats get upset about something and they poof up, technically they're getting goosebumps?
Yeah.
Aw. I wonder what that looks
But
like.
of course, we get goosebumps when we get cold.
That is true. Or I guess when the adrenaline
It's
kicks
our
in.
tingly senses.
Yeah, like if I get anxious about something, suddenly I get goosebumps, or if I'm starting to get emotional, I'm like, oh, God damn it, I'm going to get...
Wisdom teeth serve no purpose. They're left over from hundreds of thousands of years ago. As early humans' brains grew bigger, it reduced space in the mouth, crowding out this third set of molars.
So these are the ones at the very, very back.
Yeah, the ones you normally get taken out.
Oh, okay.
Scientists aren't exactly sure why we yawn, but it may help regulate body temperature.
Really?
Yeah. I always thought it's because you weren't getting enough oxygen to your brain. So yawning helps you take in a deep breath and exhale out.
And obviously it has something to do when we get tired, right?
I guess as we get tired, we don't intake as much oxygen as we should.
Oh, shit. Maybe that's
You're
true.
getting tired, you're almost out of gas, you're not working properly.
You guys have opened my eyes. I've never thought of it that way.
See, now he's woke.
This he accepts.
Well, I mean,
We want to have faith in our government, Manuel. We don't want to think that our government wants to kill us off.
They don't want to kill us off. They want to
They
take
kinda
over
do.
the world.
They want to regulate the population, so make this shit happen.
Is this because of Corona?
A little bit. There's now conspiracy that China created this, and it's because they wanted to kill off some of their population.
But that's not our government.
But still,
Yeah.
same mentality. Put someone in power, they want to kill us off. Fuck that. Anyway,
I had
moving
told
on.
Sarah, one of the few good things about being in lockdown is that the pollution has severely gone down, which is great.
Sure.
Pollution has gone down, and it's quite nice. Continue.
But we didn't have a population problem.
Well, I know that, but
California.
pollution was still the shits, though.
China was terrible.
Like
They needed this break. No offense. Not this way.
A month ago, when I told
Italy
you guys
needed
it
a
was-
break from the pollution and all that stuff. We were really abusing Mother Nature.
I'm sorry, Mother Earth. Is that what you're saying?
I love Mother Earth. She's nice.
Your fingernails don't actually grow after you're dead. So that's one less thing you have to worry about. Let's see. If they were laid end to end, all the blood vessels in the human body would encircle the earth 4 times.
That is a lot. I don't believe it, but
How did they figure that out?
I guess eventually when they took it out, they're like, well, how long is this?
Ew.
And they kept measuring it. We need more tape.
Humans are the only animals with chins.
Now I'm running through a bunch of animals in my head.
Did you think monkeys first?
No, actually, I thought dolphins. I don't know why, but I did.
Wow.
Dolphins was the first animal that cropped into my mind, followed
Wow.
quickly by a cat.
And so
I thought monkeys.
monkeys don't have chins, it's just mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to serve some sort of evolutionary purpose, right?
I mean, that is also part of our jaw.
I wonder, well, no. I would say maybe it helps us have more powerful jaws, but no, there's creatures out there that have way more powerful jaws than us. But they don't have like the teeth structural layout that we have.
But if you wanted to create a meme where you're letting somebody know that you're thinking about something, where would you put your hand?
I don't know. God.
Just like the kid in Stranger Things, the one with the baby teeth.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
has no collarbones.
Wait, what? He doesn't?
No.
He's an odd fellow.
What do you mean he doesn't have a collarbone? I thought those were Like,
You can be born without those.
What?
It's just very rare. So I don't know where your SCM and scalenes and pectorals attach. They must fuse together. But your muscles have to attach to a bony surface.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they would attach. Blood makes up about 8% of your total body weight. So if it's not water, it's blood.
Okay.
Belly buttons grow special hairs to catch lint.
Ew.
Why do we not want lint in there? Or why does the body not want
Well, that
lint?
is also a hole that things can enter in.
But, I mean, it stops, though. Well, okay.
Does it, though?
The hole in the ear eventually stops. Comes to a dead end. Actually, technically, all of the holes eventually come to a dead end, right?
Yes.
This one's my favorite because this is what I always tell my dad. The satisfying sound of cracking your knuckles comes from gas bubbles bursting in your joints. That's why I always tell my dad, because he always says, stop. Well, and my mom too. They say, stop popping your knuckles. You're going to have bad joints. And I say, no, it's just, well, I was always air.
It's just gas.
Yeah, it's just gas. You got to release gas. Thumbs have their own pulse.
Do they really?
It's like another pressure point, I guess, or place where you can feel a pulse, kind of like on your wrist, your neck, and your ankle, or whatever.
Huh. You can feel a pulse on your ankle?
I think. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
The other parts.
There's other parts. Your tongue is made up of 8 interwoven muscles, similar in structure to an elephant's trunk or an octopus's tentacle.
Ew.
On a genetic level, all human beings are more than 99% identical.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, I guess we have to be. The only things that really make us different are
Primates.
Wisdom teeth and not.
What?
I said the only thing that makes us different, I was like, our wisdom teeth and not.
Let's see. I'll do one more. No one really knows what fingerprints are for, but they might help wick water away from our hands, prevent blisters, and improve touch.
Huh.
Grip.
That's
Yeah,
what
your
I would
grip.
Yeah, I would have thought it's for grip. Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that.
And then we just went as far as to like, this is your identification.
Because it's unique.
Yeah, isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's why I think we were once a part of sea life.
All right. Before we go, I shared the picture with you guys. McDonald's shares their own template for their Happy Meal boxes to be made at home. As we know, a lot of stores and restaurant chains have closed their doors due to the coronavirus lockdown nationwide. During these tough times, McDonald's kindly shared a recipe card for its iconic sausage and egg McMuffin so that we could make the meal at home. And now they've released a template for the Happy Meal box so your children can have a more authentic experience. They have uploaded the template, which can be easily printed out and constructed at home, but an adult might need to help cut out all the tricky bits. So I sent y'all the picture of the template. Do y'all think that it can be done? How
Yeah.
complicated does it look?
No.
To me, it looks complicated.
No.
Okay. Isn't that sweet?
It's very sweet.
I kind of want to make one, but
You can make your own Happy Meal box.
what if I made it? I'd be like, now that's one fine Happy Meal box. And then like I remove the picture and I'm like, how come mine doesn't look like that? And then I have a meltdown.
I want to see that. I want
You
to
wanna
see you
see
do it, hold the picture up to it, and then move the picture down.
And then just like this weird folded mess of like sadness. And then I just erupt and I go crazy. Sarah rushes into the room and she was like, why are you having a meltdown? I was like, because I can't fucking do this. And she goes, why are your pants not on? Don't question me, woman. That's when it's going to degenerate. to.
Nice ass.
Not,
Oh, yeah.
as soon as it, like I just lose it, pants come off.
I'll make it
She
all
just
better.
slaps it. Put your pants back on.
God. She's
Get
like,
a nice...
Hoy. God. Did you scare? I think you scared my cat.
That'll distract you.
Hoy. Okay, so next week, do you guys want to finally uncover this flat Earth? Do you think that would be a good time to talk about that?
I mean, why not?
It's a good discussion every time.
Okay. So
I mean, is this Earth right now with what we're going through?
we can talk about why there is a theory of why the Earth is flat. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but it's not. You know?
But it
I was
is,
about to
but
question
it's
you,
not.
honey.
And then maybe in 2 weeks' time, you guys want to look at more urban legends, and then we could finally review the second Urban Legends movie.
on the podcast I'm listening to, they covered one. It's called In One Ear and Out the Other. Huh?
This is a urban legend
Yes.
No, sex position. Oh, wait, what?
It's an urban legend.
Oh.
of in one ear and out the other.
Yes.
And why did you yak?
Huh? Because it's about insects.
Oh.
It's so gross.
Okay.
It's one of my odd fears. And it all started from the woman that had the spider in her ear.
Uh-huh.
It's very similar to that. Only it could kill you.
Okay. So we'll keep that in mind. And next week we will talk about the flat earth. And then the week after that, it'll be more urban legends. And then we will review Urban Legends 2, The Final Cut.
Oh, there's also an urban legend about everything comes in threes.
That is
I
true.
just listened to that today. It's very good.
Well. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
I did also learn a conspiracy theory today, possibly. I haven't researched it at all. But I was watching a guy that expands your consciousness. So he's one of the guys I meditate to.
Okay.
And he said one of the conspiracy theories that's going to come to life in 2020 or something like that. I have to watch the video again. But the last one was the assassination of John F. K. Jr. Apparently he didn't die. Apparently he staged his death and went into hiding.
Okay.
Because they were after him?
Yeah.
Oh.
They didn't want him going or running against Hillary or something.
Okay.
But I don't know anything about that.
I don't know.
He was just
about
being
that.
a messenger.
Oh, okay. So next week we're going to talk about how flat this Earth is, and I think it'll be a very interesting discussion.
AJ Styles.
I'm not saying that AJ thinks the world is flat.
He made
listened.
a comment that was geared towards it being
He
flat,
listened.
which, you know.
He said they made a lot of good points. Who knows? Maybe when I'm done doing my research, I'll be like, you know what?
You are asking for this ring back, aren't you?
Though we'll wait for next.
Yeah, we'll look into it and we'll find out if any of them. God damn it! Can you imagine if one of us changes our mind and we're just like, you know what? I think the world is flat.
Boom! I said it.
Boom! I said it.
I know the perfect person to ask, and that's my stepdad.
What conference I'm in?
Oh my god! Really?
He works for NASA.
Okay. And he goes, yeah, the Earth is flat since the 80s. They made the big change.
He's like,
I'm sorry,
here's
what?
the real picture from the moon looking down to Earth.
It looks just like now, but he's like, that's flat though. It's not round. It's just, flat.
It's flat, but it's standing up.
He goes, but there's no camera on the other side, so we only have the one from the moon.
Yeah, how fucking convenient.
We'll talk to you guys next week right here on the Sink Side Cast. For him, his name is Manuel. Her name was Sarah. My name is Nick.
Bye.